Hello everyone, this is Wayofftrail with Select Start Gaming.
And it's Zantok with Select Start Gaming.
And we're back with some, well, not back with the game. The game is, for me, is relatively new. But it is time...
The game is irrelevant.
Yeah. It is time again for our top 10 games. But this time...
the year. Yes.
But this time, of 2022!
2022? We made it that far?
Somehow.
Oh god, I thought we would have died in the heat death already.
Right? Or the, the vid, but we somehow made it.
Yes, we did. Now, to clarify, as we do every year, these are not the top 10 games of the year that we think, released this year, like what most top 10s of the year, whatever the fuck, are. This is our top 10 games that we played for the first time this year.
So, yeah, for example, if Multiverses is a game that was first played by you this year, which I guess technically this would now be on my list.
I mean, this also released this year, so...
I mean, this is my first time playing it, but it would be technically on my list. I'm going to give you a hint right now. It's not going to make top 10. But
I mean, it was not really eligible considering you're literally playing it now after you formed your list.
Right.
But it'd be eligible for next year.
Well, let's say I played Skyrim, but I've played that in previous years, so that does not count, even though it is. And it doesn't matter when the game came out. If the game is an older game, but it's my first time playing it this year, that is what counts.
Exactly.
It's
like
new
last
to
year, I
you.
had Earthbound on my top 10.
Yeah,
Even though it is a very old game.
Yeah, it's when it's new to you. So, yeah, that's kind of the...
That's how we do things. Because we don't want to put in to figure out, it's like, oh yeah, let's actually play 10 of the games that released this year.
Right.
And find out, because we don't necessarily like all the games that released this year. Like, do I want to try the brand new Call of Duty? No. I don't.
Right. And it is, some of them could be this year, some of them could be, totally new, or totally old. That doesn't matter.
Very possible.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, we can kind of just jump on in. Now, I don't remember who started last year.
Fuck if I know. I say you start.
I start? Alright.
Yeah, you start.
We're going to go backwards order. So we're going to be going from number 10 up to the number ones that we played this year. Alright. For my number 10, just making the list, is going to be a little indie game for me. Which is not a huge shocker, I guess, for me.
No.
But my number 10 game really made the list because of the music in it. The music is phenomenal, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's going to go to The Flame in the Flood.
Okay.
It's kind of a post-apocalyptic world that has been over-flooded with water, and is kind of a resource gathering, trying to get to the very end, see if you can survive that long, and survive. And so I was gonna do it just as a shuffle play, but I was starting to enjoy it quite a bit, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to continue on and see how far I can go for the shuffle play. And then I kept going and going. And I actually won my first try through the game. It wasn't necessarily easy. And it was actually harder in the beginning. But the music was the music was great. It could have gotten more difficult. It was once I kind of got situated, it got pretty easy. And I kind of ranking it lower because it got repetitive toward the end, and it got a little, was too easy at the very end. So I'm kind of ranking it there, but it was kind of neat, a neat experience that I wasn't necessarily looking for. I got it as a free game or in a bundle of mystery games, and I was like, this looks interesting, and so yeah, that's kind of what happened for me. The Flame and the Flood taking number 10.
All right. As for me, my number 10 slot is actually going to be a game that released very recently. It's probably the most recent game that released this year on, I'm going to guess, on either of our lists. It's Pokemon Scarlet.
Oh!
Technically Pokemon Violet. Only reaching number 10 on my list, which is not saying great things. It's not saying terrible things, but it is saying that there were 9 games that I said were better.
And that's interesting, because you love your Pokemans.
I do. But Pokemon Scarlet has its issues. As anybody that's been looking at anything online knows, there are a lot of graphical bugs. The shadows will conflict with. I've seen the skyboxes appear. I've seen Pokemon spawn in walls. I have fallen through the world. That was a scary time.
I mean,
but that said, yeah, I mean, well, I was a little bit worried about what would happen to my save data if I went too far. Like, is this going to corrupt my game or not? I don't know. But that said, I mean, it is still a Pokemon game. Like, I don't think it's bad. I do think it is bad form on their part that it got released in such a piss-poor fashion. It's like, good God, can we please have some proper time put into the game so that we don't have these kinds of issues?
Right.
But I still enjoyed the game. I think the open worldness nature, well, at first it took me a little bit to get used to, and I had a bit of paralysis of like, what do I do? There's so many things. There's a new Pokemon that I have to catch. There's an item. There's a sparkly bit on the ground. When am I going to get to my gym? It's right there, but I'm doing all these other things first because they're shiny, and I want the shiny. Distraction.
Right.
But I have beaten the game already. I'm just in the mode of like trying to get every Pokemon out of complete my Pokedex. And it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot more than I liked Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield just very much the world. The best thing about Sword and Shield is the gym battle music. It's fucking great. But Sword and Shield has a whole issue of, okay, cool, so everything cool that's happening in the game that you could go do as part of plot, no, the adults are going to handle that. We just want you to keep going to the next city. It's like, oh, okay. But Scarlet and Violet have 3 plots that you're going through. One of them, you know, it's just a gem circle. There's not really much plot there. But then the story with Team Star, you go fight different leaders of the team. Each one you beat, you get a little bit of a little story about them, which I thought was pretty cool. And there's a story about fighting the huge Titan Pokemon. You get a little bit about Arvin and his situation in that storyline, which was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed that. I was like, awesome, let me get to know these characters and actually get to see cool things. Like, Team Star was actually pretty cool, and I kind of felt for them. So I enjoyed that bit a lot. I just think, you know, a little embarrassing how it released.
Right.
They should have had some more time in the QA lane.
Yeah, I feel like Pokemon's gotten to the point where they're just like, oh, we got to get a game out now. We have to get it out now. And it's like, we're okay with waiting. If you...
Here's the thing. It's not that they've gotten that way. They've always been that way.
Yeah, it's like, we're okay waiting a little.
It used to be on the DS with 2D graphics, pixel art, which is a lot easier to develop for. The animation was so much simpler, but they just keep on adding more things. When we get to 3D, open world, Dynamaxing, it's just opened up a lot more room for issues. And the Pokemon Company, etc., is not giving them enough time to properly work on the game. It's like, hey, we gotta release it by this date in order to hit our marketing. We can't release it after the anime starts. Oh no!
Right. And it just we don't need the rush, Nintendo. It's okay. We get it.
It ain't Nintendo. It's the Pokemon Company. It's the merchandising side of things. Pokemon is owned by 3 companies.
Fair. All right. Well, that was our number.
Team Fuecoco.
Huh?
Team Fuecoco, bitches. And Tinkaton is amazing. I will hear no slander about Tinkaton.
Oh. All right. Well, so that is our number 10s. Now it's on to my number 9 game of the year. Falling in at number 9 for me is a more on the relaxing side of things, not a huge like stressed game. I I got this game. It was gifted to me actually by the what's his?
You're
He
welcome.
goes by the Jamer X now. I think he's changed it a couple times. But it is Little Dragon Cafe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you actually joined me for a little bit on this one.
Yeah, my grandpa kind of crazy. Grandma's really rude.
Yeah, it's a odd game. Not something I've ever kind of played before. It was very different from anything I've ever played. You kind of run this little cafe. It's really cutesy. And then, you kind of explore and find ingredients, and you try to raise this dragon to heal your mother. Uh-huh. It was the story. So, for me, the story was kind of the what, at the time. And so that was kind of weird.
The real story was meeting the different characters that came in for their own little segments.
Yeah, it was... the little source, like the little vampire girl, the little knight guy, it was all these different characters that came in, and then I even had Zantok and Curb Walkers and Skilled Arrow pop in and be these other patrons, and it was kind of a just neat, relaxing game. It, again, kind of like I said with my last game, it did get a little repetitive toward the end. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, do I really have to do the cafe? Like, I just want to progress,
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got to a point where I was like, all right, let's move on. And so that's kind of why it didn't go up super high for me. But I did enjoy it. It was a very peaceful game. So that's going to take my number 9 spot for this year.
All right. Well, for me, number 9 is going to go to another Nintendo franchise that a game that just came out this year, Fire Emblem Three Hopes. Now, Fire Emblem Three Hopes is a Warriors game. It's the second Fire Emblem Warriors game that we've gotten, but this one, whereas the first Fire Emblem Warriors was more like let's mixing together cast from a few different games, mainly Awakening, Fates, and Shadow Dragon. This game is all about Three Houses, the most recent Fire Emblem game, where you have your professor at an academy, and also there's a war, and 3 different storylines you can go through. Well, this game, it's an alternate version of those same events, except now there's another character who just appears. But it's still okay. You have 3 storylines you can go through, but at the end of it, they are all kind of just like virtually the same as the original game. They're just slightly different because there's an extra character now, and the gameplay is different. It's not a tactical RPG. It's you run around and you slay hundreds of weak enemies, which was fun. The gameplay was the best part of it. The story, if you liked the way Three Houses did story, then you might like Three Hopes. If you didn't, then you won't. But the gameplay was fine. It's actually, of the different Warriors spin-offs I've played, it's the one that has the best Warriors-like gameplay. Because because Persona 5 has 2 Warriors game, but it is not regular Warriors gameplay. It's very Persona-y. But this one is like much closer to the traditional Warriors format, and I feel it was actually pretty fun. So I liked actually seeing the play, even if the story left something to be desired. I was hoping for a golden route where all 3 forces could, not keep killing each other, but whatever.
Sacrifice more, defend more, help.
Nice. I never really gotten any of the Fire Emblem games, so I know only a little bit from them from
From me, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much from you.
Yeah, this one's just like it's not an RPG, not really. It's just hack and slash against a wide array of enemies, and you'll level up, you'll gain abilities, but it's not pick an ability from a menu.
You think you can control me?
All right, time for number 8 game of 2022. For me, I'm gonna be hitting you with another indie game. So far, that's 3 in a row. So this game, also like Flame in the Flood, I got as in a bunch of mystery keys, and then I was like, that looks interesting. And so coming in at my number 8 is a game called Hue. It is a...
What about me?
No, Hugh, not you, Hugh. Hue.
Oh, Hugh Neutron. Yeah, he got added
Yeah,
to
that guy.
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
Yeah, that guy. So pretty much what it is kind of it starts off like almost like black and white game, and as you go, you unlock like different like red and yellow, different colors, and as you unlock them, it is kind of a puzzly game, and they become ways that you can solve getting past different things. You can like, if you turn the background to yellow, then you can get past objects that are yellow now. So it is kind of
the background.
yeah, because they fade into the background.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the game itself, I liked the music. It had a little story. Story wasn't the strongest, but it was still decent. The only thing that I have that kind of going against it, that's why it ranks so low, it's extremely short. It's a very low game. Not very long game, sorry. I did enjoy it, however, and just wished it was longer. And then I would have probably put it a little higher up on my list, but I did quite have a good time with it, and I did record it as a shuffle because it was kind of short. Actually, no, I did a series. It was shorter though. But yeah, I recommend checking that one out. It was pretty good.
All right. Well, for my number 8, we're gonna get to a game that is on the channel now at this point. I mean, it's technically it's a DLC, but you know sometimes those count. This is a Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission, which is the DLC campaign for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but featuring the character Yuffie Kisaragi, who is a party member in the original Final Fantasy VII. But the time of the story that Part 1 of Remake happens in, Yuffie is not present in the story at that point. So this DLC actually shows you what she's doing at this time. And it turns out she's there in the same city as everyone else is. She's just in a different place doing a whole different mission. Her whole story in this DLC is about trying to infiltrate Shinra HQ, which is the thing that the main party does eventually. Because she's looking for some kind of secret weapon that Shinra is working on, an ultimate materia of sorts, because she hates Shinra and she wants to fight them, which, fair enough, they're an evil company, and they should die. What I found interesting about it is that the gameplay was pretty good. Like, unlike the main remake, you only had one character you could control. You didn't have the 3, but you did have an additional guest party member with you that you could kind of get some commands to, and you could do some duo moves, which was fun. They evolved the combat just a little bit. They had some better aerial play because instead of just having a sword that you have to jump up into the sky with, you have a shuriken, giant fucking shuriken that you can throw around, and ninjutsu elemental magics, which hell yes. One of the things I found fun about the story with it is that at the end of the game, you are leaving the Shinra HQ because you completed your mission, you're fleeing the city, but at the same time that you are leaving the building, the main group from the main game is entering. So you pretty much go right past it. I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. I'm looking forward to what they'll do in Part 2 of the remake, which I forget what they're calling it, but it's got a different title to it. And where Yuffie wants to meet up with the rest of the main cast. Hell yes. I wonder if they'll talk about what she went through.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just kind of a different take on, the story you knew, from a different perspective.
I mean, the theories think that remake is actually not saying that this is the game that's being remade, it's the world that's being remade, and that the main villain has gone back in time to try and change events. It's like, that's fucking cool.
I hope you'd be more of a
It's not, we're not playing a remade game, the villain is trying to remake what happened. That's crazy to me. But we don't know if that's true, it's just, a theory.
A game theory?
A game theory, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a theory about a game, so I mean...
It is.
Yeah. Alright. Well, I think it's time for the number 7! Alright. Jumping in the number 7 spot for me is actually a franchise that has been mentioned already. Jumping in number 7 for me is a Pokemon game!
What?
I played a Pokemon game started early this year.
Oh, right!
Yeah, I am putting in
Finish
at...
it?
No. Well, I think I got... No, not fully. I have not fully finished it, but I'm in like the post game. It is Pokemon Legends Arceus. So
This is going to be
it
interesting.
I like Pokemon games. Pokemon games are great. When I was first playing it, I was like, oh, this is a neat concept, and was kind of like, all right, this is different. And I found and I do like Pokemon. I love stuff about it. The reason it's not ranking as high for me is a few things. I like gym battles. I like the trainer battles. And Arceus didn't have a lot of those. In fact, no gym battles. But
No gym battles, no.
And there was
few
very
trainer fights.
yeah, very few trainer fights. And so that was kind of a letdown for me. I do like the open world, can see the Pokemon, and I like that. That's why I really like Pixelmon. And so that was neat.
I am here
But
for
it just
everyone
didn't
who needs it.
quite check all the boxes for me. In fact, it would probably rank lower on all the Pokemon games for me because of that. Yeah, I would say of all the Pokemon games I've played, it's probably one of the lower ranked. But
You might like Scarlet and Violet then.
yeah, I think I might, because I know it's going to hit a few more of the boxes, but I wanted to wait until it had a little time to maybe get some fixes.
I mean, they've already released one patch update, so
Yeah.
we'll see if they do anything more.
Yeah, and I usually wait a little bit before games come out. I'm not usually one of the people that goes and gets a game the day it's out, but
It depends on the game.
yeah. I mean, every once in a blue moon, but it takes a bit for me to do that.
Keep it together.
But yeah, so it introduced a few neat Pokemon. Some of them I wasn't super crazy about, but there was a few neat ones.
Weird deer.
Yeah, Reader. Basculegion was kind of cool, especially because Basculin I thought was kind of
Weird.
boring. But
Yeah.
Sneasler was he was okay. Some of them were just weird.
Are there good new Pokemon outside of Hisuian forms?
Good point. Well, Basculegion was kind of cool. He's the only I could think of off the top of my head.
I know there's gotta be something because I can't. Overquill. I kind of like Overquill.
Oh, Overquill. Yeah, I like Overquill. That was cool. I'm really glad that one got a fix, or got a
Yeah.
not fix. A Evo. But yeah, so Pokemon Legends Arceus, my number 7. Zantok, what is ranking in at number 7 for you?
Double cheeseburger plain with bacon.
Is that actually a number 7?
Actually, I think it's number 4, or at least it used to be. I don't know if that changed. Anyways, my real number 7 is not Final Fantasy 7. It is instead the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Adventures and Resolve. Technically, 2 games. Technically. But they ranked right next to each other. When I was building ranking, I was like, I'm just gonna merge those two together because they are direct. One of them, the first game leads directly to the second game. I was like, fuck it, and they follow the same story threads and characters. So I figured, screw it, it'll count. But anyways, so this one, whereas most Ace Attorney games are about Phoenix Wright in modern-ish day, and all his friends. Great Ace Attorney Chronicles actually takes place in the past. It takes place in the time of Sherlock Holmes, because one of your allied characters is Sherlock Holmes.
Of course.
In the Japanese version, he is called Sherlock, but well, in the English release, they're just like, I guess there was some kind of rights issue or something, so they just changed the name to Sherlock. What the hell ever. But they changed up a little bit of the formula. There was one chapter that did not have a court case in it. I was like, that threw me for a goddamn loop. That's never happened before. It was just purely investigation. But there were some of these elements where you solve some of the puzzles. Like you have to help. At some point, like Sherlock rather, will make some deductions, and they're bad. And you have to help him figure out, like, no, here's what really happened. It's this, dude. That's not a Russian man. That is a woman. Please, sir. But there's also in court they had a new mechanic where there's actually a jury instead of just a judge. You have to convince them and sometimes change their opinions because they'll announce early. It's like, yeah, we all agree that they're guilty. It's like, wait a minute, I have a chance to change your mind and make you think maybe they're not. which is pretty cool. We had some great characters on the sidelines. Gina Lestrade is going to be an all-time favorite. It's going to be a damn shame that she can't show up in the modern era because, you know, takes place in the past. It's also Phoenix Wright's ancestor. Ryunosuke Naruhodo is his name. And he is gone to London to learn about how the court system works there and then bring some of that knowledge back to Japan. And of course, you know, conspiracies and whatnot ends up happening. You gotta save the innocence.
Oh, I think Phoenix Wright might be a game I'd maybe eventually like if I got into it. And
It's not quite. It's technically not murder mystery, but there are murders, and you have to
Solve the
both
mystery?
defend your client. Yeah, you also end up solving like who actually did do it while you're trying to exonerate your client. There's not enough to prove that your client didn't do it.
Right.
If you can't prove who did, then your guy still is declared guilty. It's like, all right, that kind of nonsense.
You're actually a lawyer who tries to solve crimes. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Instead of just
It's
being
a lot
like,
of fun.
ah,
Like, I let's played the first Phoenix Wright game on the channel a couple years ago, but me already knowing all the solutions and whatnot made it less fun for recording. But I think you'd be able to have a little bit more with it.
yeah, that'd be neat.
Maybe we could even do that as a duo thing, like Curb and I did Danganronpa.
Yeah, we gotta
Hear
finish
some
that, by the way.
voices.
Yeah.
We do. We gotta find out when the hell he's gonna be available.
Right. All right. I think we're on to number 6.
Yes.
All right, my number 6, I think, is a game you may have played before. Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have I already talked about it on this list? I doubt it.
No, I don't think so. But jumping in at number 6 for Wayofftrail's top 10 games of the year is Final Fantasy XIV Online.
I had a feeling it's like that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I knew you had played it because we played together.
I do.
Most of the time. But it's ranking in at number 6 for me. One, I've never, and this is mostly on purpose, really ever played MMOs because I would be afraid I was getting addicted to them, which is fair because it was relatively true. And so I purposely tried to avoid a lot of everything going on there. And so I like it enough. I mean, it's not my typical style of game, so there is some things that I'm like, meh, you know, about. But it is rather addicting, and it took the place of Dead by Daylight for me, which I needed something to take its spot. Because I was having a
You
getting
got
frustrated.
extremely burned out
Yep.
by DBD. And a lot of it is just because the other players are just bad.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. But we wanted something that we could still play games together and, you know, do. And it makes a good game to play in the background. Like,
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I have an hour. Well, I'll just pop it up and do a beast tribe. Or, you know, I'll pop it up and level up a level of carpentry, you know. So there's many different styles of gameplay with it that is fun. Like just leveling up if that's what you like to do. So there's many different things you can do if you want to, and things you don't want to do, you just don't do it.
Yep.
So that makes it nice. But yeah, so that's why it's ranking there at number 6 for me. As a
And to clarify for anybody that's wondering, Wayofftrail is currently, time of recording, nearly done with the second expansion, Stormblood. That's as
Yep.
far as he's got in the story.
Yep. So that's kind of where that is for me. I'm that far in and stuff like that. So, yep.
All right. Well, as a bit of a parallel, last year when we did this, I had at 6th place Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, that's funny. We tied them.
Yeah, but for that one, that was just the base game, Realm Reborn. I hadn't done any of the expansions at that point. Where they'll be today, yeah, you know, we'll see if they're even on here. Who knows? But as for what my number 6 is, this game actually surprised me by how low it was when I was making my list. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's fair. Like, I don't dislike it, but it had some good competition this year, and that game was Splatoon 3. Now, you know, I like my Splatoon.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of shooter games generally speaking, but Splatoon I really enjoy. It's not about getting headshots or just trying to murder our opponents for points. It's actually more about covering the ground. Covering the ground in your color more than the other team covers the ground in their color. And of course, yes, you do have to kill people along the way. And it's got a little story mode that is more focused on killing mooks and gooks. But I don't know. I don't know why it ranked lower for me. It's still a lot of fun. I think the game we're playing is broken.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I think we need to relaunch.
Yeah. That's probably gonna have to happen. But it's still a lot of fun for me. Like, the story was a bit different than the first two games. Like, they broke a little bit of the conventions, which I was fine with. I had a lot of fun with it. It was actually, the final boss fight was way more fun than the second game's final boss fights. I still rate the original one a little bit higher, but it was a little different. I enjoyed that. But I want to get more into some of the multiplayer because I haven't done a lot of multiplayer. It's just that's not what I play Splatoon for typically. But it can still be fun. But the single player, they took ideas from Splatoon 2 and 1, how they had the normal single player mode layout, but they also took some of the way that the levels are done in Splatoon 2 DLC, the Octo expansion. It's kind of like mixed it all together. I was like, that was fun. There was some good variety. It wasn't just go along this path and kill enemies along the way. There were levels where you had to guide an 8-ball along a track or destroy all targets while you're on a line. And if you miss one, you just fail. It's like, well, shit. Gotta start over. That was actually one of the more frustrating levels. There were a few of them. But still very enjoyable, and I'm hoping that the game gets its own DLC chapter like Splatoon 2 did.
Alright, I think that brings us to our top 5 games of the year. Now, for me, my do you want to invite me, by the way?
I'm just now launching the game, dude. How can I invite you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I figure. Wait till we have the game back up.
Oh, that's fair. I unlocked new rewards. Kryptonian skin. Guess who that's for?
Wonder Woman.
No, it's for Iron Giant.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Percussive punch power. Interesting. But yeah, so we're kind of getting back into the game here. You know, things happen.
I mean, I figured you'd probably cut out this section. That's why I wasn't talking.
You think I'm gonna cut stuff? Hello, everyone. This is
Wayofftrail. It's super easy to make a quick edit.
Hello, everyone. This is Wayofftrail. I don't edit.
Just Jesus Christ. This is why you're disappointing.
I like to make Zantok upset, and
you do, because it's about professionalism.
And this is where
I have standards. You don't, apparently.
I mean, no, I don't. I mean, I did partner with you to do Select Our Gaming, so
I do things better than you.
All right, I think we're back in. Hopefully.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well.
Now then, now that we've cut out that section, what is your number 5? We made it to the top. So what do you have as the game that made it to the top half of your top 10?
All right. So here's the thing. When I was making my list, the bottom 5 were kind of hard to switch around. I was kind of having difficulties picking what went where. And then, but everything above 5, like I already knew. I'm like, all right, these 5 are in there. And 5 and 4 were kind of interchangeable for me. And then 3 and up was a little harder to place. But coming in at number 5 is a game that Zoe has wanted me to play forever. And I finally was like, all right, fine.
The Sims 4.
No, I've already played Sims 4 before that. But it is A Plague Tale: Innocence. And I streamed this game, and actually it was a lot of fun. I really liked the style of the game, and the story was very good. It started strong with them, killing off something that you didn't want them to kill off. And you're like, really, game? This is how we're starting this? All right.
Of course.
Yeah, to get you, tied into the story. But I had a really fun time playing, and it was like, I liked the, you know, based in history, but not, you know, fully accurate, like, you know, back in the Plague days and that time era. But they took it a little further than that, and, you know, there was lots of rats. Lots and lots of rats.
But weren't they your best friends?
Oh, no. No, not all the time, no.
Oh. But part of the time, you said not all of the time.
Yeah, eventually you can do something with them, but I mean, you could help them kill enemies, which is kind of neat. But anyway, it was just kind of a unique experience. I liked the story again, and I really enjoyed the way it played. I would say the characters kind of lacked in development. Like, I mean, they were neat or okay, but I didn't feel super attached to anyone besides like your main two characters. I was like every other person. I was like, meh, whatever. But it was definitely a game I would recommend, and I know at some point I'm gonna have to play the sequel, Requiem, because that came out recently. Yeah, so that's my number 5. Zantok, what made it to the 5th spot on your list?
So at number 5, much like Pokemon, is another game that I finished very recently. I streamed it, actually. This is Ghost of Tsushima. You are a samurai.
Spooky ghost.
And the monk... What?
Spooky ghost.
No, well, I'm the spooky ghost.
Oh.
And it's more of like you're building a legend about yourself to, put the fear in the Mongol horde. Because they're trying to invade your island, and that's bad. Fuck you, Khotan Khan. Eat a dick. But the game literally starts off with you riding off to a beach to try and fight them off from invading, and, well, there are 2 survivors from the samurai. Your uncle, who gets captured, and then you, who everybody thinks is dead. And you're just like, I have to save my uncle. And you go through a whole journey. It's another open world game, but there's a lot of small things that you can do. Like you can visit Shinto shrines and pray at them, which are all like parkour puzzles essentially. You can find foxes, which you follow them to their dens, and you pray at their Inari shrines. There's like Mongols take over towns, and you have to then slay all the Mongols and free the townspeople. Going through the story missions to recruit allies, save your uncle. Eventually, you fight Khotan Khan. It was a very fun game. It has its own DLC chapter as well, Iki Island, which has, there's more Mongols invading that place that you have to take down. But there's also a lot of backstory on your character and his relationship with his father, who died when your character is young, in front of him. He literally watched the guy stab his father in the back when his father was basically begging for help. And it's like, I am 12. What the fuck do you think I can do? And there's all this blaming. It's like, oh, you let your father die. It's like, bitch, I'm 12. What do you want from me? But it was a very fun game. I enjoyed it a lot. I had to turn it to easy mode pretty early on because I suck. But, I still played it.
Right.
I got to experience the story. At the very end, you get to make a choice about whether a character lives or dies. And there is no canon choice, so I just chose what felt right to me. And I won't say what that was in case somebody wants to play it, because that would be a major fucking spoiler.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it was a great game. Like, there are rumors, for some fucking reason, about there being a sequel. I'm just like, how? How do you make a sequel to this game? That's stupid. Not every game is a fucking sequel.
That's fair, yeah. I don't think every game needs a sequel. I'm actually, I was kind of surprised, my last game I said, Plague Tale, got another game. I would have thought that one would have been good as a one and done.
Who developed Plague Tale?
Huh?
Who developed Plague Tale?
Oh god. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Wow.
Yeah, not sure.
Don't even know who developed the games that you played.
You'd be mostly right on most games I play. Every once in a while I'll know a developer, but that's about it. It's very rare I know a developer of a game.
Wow.
I just don't pay attention to any of that stuff. But, yeah.
Anywho,
Anyhowser. Alright. So that's number 5's out of the way. 5's done. Time for 4's. Alright. Coming in at number 4 for me is pretty much, because we mentioned developers, is pretty much a space version of Bethesda's Skyrim and Fallout. Haha, see, I know one developer. That's about it. But hitting number 4 for me is The Outer Worlds. This little game, I had been wanting to play for a while because I had heard it was very similar to Fallout and very similar to Skyrim. And I was like, okay, you know, I liked most of those games. 76.
You like Fallout 76?
I would say 76 can go suck one. God, I hate that game so much. But anyway, so it was a game, you know, like you got to walk, you know, run around and meet interesting characters, get companions, which is kind of what I missed from, you know, Fallout, like New Vegas, not New Vegas, or not 76, but New Vegas, or 3, 4, Skyrim, and you get to make choices, and the choices affect the outcome of the entire thing. And you know, once you do that, like, you can't go back and be like, I changed my mind, I'm gonna pick the other side. No, it's like you have to decide right then and there which one are you going with, because it matters at that point. So I really enjoyed it, and it was a space world type, and that was kind of neat to experience in that type of setting. And yeah, and there was quite a few characters in there that I really liked, and the story was pretty good. So I would definitely say I really liked that game a lot.
Okay. So you remember how you were just like, oh, spooky ghost?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a game with a spooky ghost. My number 4 is Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective.
Spooky ghost.
A game I streamed this year. So, a couple years ago, I had people vote in a poll to pick a game that they had to force me to play, and the game that won that poll in particular was Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling. I ran that poll again at the start of 2021. And I actually ran 2 polls. I ran one big poll that had 128 games that people to nominate, but then I ran a much smaller poll that featured games that didn't make it past round 2 in either that poll or the original poll from a few years ago. And it's from that poll that this game won. I was really hoping Ghost Trick would do well because it's a game I was very interested in playing from when it was first getting like trailers years ago on. I was like, man, I want to play this game, but I never got the chance. So, Ghost Trick, I played it. You are a ghost! Oh no!
Oh.
You have died. You literally start the game, you have died.
Spooky ghost.
But, here's the thing though. You can affect the world around you. You can possess objects, such as an umbrella, and make it open. You can turn on a fan and have it swivel back and forth. And then you can leap from one object to another to do things. Now, why would you want to do any of this? Because you have another power. You have the power to possess a corpse, a recently deceased corpse, and go back in time to some degree of seconds before that person died, and then you can affect the world around them to try and save them.
Oh.
That is the core gameplay of Ghost Trick. And you are also told at the very beginning that, hey, we need you to solve this mystery. And also, you are going to disappear at dawn.
Oh.
You will stop being a ghost and you will just be fully gone. So you're on a tight timetable. So every chapter in the game starts off with tell you like what time it is, so you know how much time you have left to solve the mystery. It's a lot of fun. Not every chapter has you having to save somebody's life, but the vast majority of them have to be like, okay, somebody just died, you need to save them in order to progress the game. So the puzzles were a little bit frustrating. You had to get some like perfect timing of some events that you were manipulating. Like you had to get a baseball to launch to hit a thing, but you had to do it at the right time so it'll bounce off in the right way to get to the right area. And that part got a little bit annoying. But it was very fun. I had a lot of fun streaming it. It's a great game. It's the same people that made Ace Attorney, actually. The same creator.
Watch this.
and there's a couple characters who are directly referencing Phoenix and Miles Edgeworth, which was a fun little thing to see.
All right. Well, that brings us to our top 3 games of 2022. Ooh, exciting stuff. All right. Like I said before, my top 3 kind of like vastly outranked my everything else. I feel like it's a huge jump from these 3 games. So, taking place at number 3 for me is going to shock no one in that it has been on the majority of my lists almost every year. Assassin's Creed. Valhalla specifically.
Aren't you still playing that one?
I'm currently still playing it. But I'm in it enough, you know, that I get it and I know how to play, and I kind of maybe don't have the full story, but what I have of the story I like. So it is currently on in the number 3 spot because game 1 and 2 are very, very good. I do love my Assassin's Creed games. This particular one is very good. I don't know if I'd rank it higher than Origins or Odyssey quite yet. They're all very similar. They're all pretty even for me, these 3. The one thing is there's a lot of collectibles that are overwhelming, and unlike previous games, I was like, I'm getting them. I kind of have been like in this one, I'm like, I don't know. Because I've kind of been wanting to enjoy the story a bit more and deal with that. I like the topic, or the theme, where, you know, the Vikings and Norse mythology, which is really, really fun, and that I like that a lot, and it's very neat for me. So I do enjoy those, and that's kind of nice, because not all the Assassin's Creeds took place in areas that I cared for, like the not Syndicate. What was the name of the one? It was like the French one. I just didn't know much about French culture, and I was like, you know.
That's fair.
And it, you know, it's just how it is. I didn't really, you know, learn about a lot of it in school, so I wasn't as connected to that one. Whereas Norse mythology, again, I didn't learn a lot about that in school, but that was kind of one you pick up as you know, get older, and I just kind of really liked that that topic. So
that's why I like watching Odyssey, because I like Greek mythology.
And so yeah, Valhalla's really good. Eivor, she's a neat character. I really, really like her. She's a really good assassin in my opinion. I just like how she's kind of unlike most assassins that are like stick to the shadows, kind of hide in the back. She's like, I'll kill you either back in the alley, or you know what? I'll
just throw punch you here.
Yeah, I'll just punch you right here. Yeah, your choice. So yeah.
And she gets into rap battles with people?
She gets into fighting. It's like, yeah, almost like rap battles, which you're like, what? Okay. This is odd choice game, but all right. But yeah. So yeah, Assassin's Creed, of course, had to make the list now, which will be interesting because unless another Assassin's Creed comes out, I don't know if I'll have one for next year because I'm finally caught up.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Well, I think you hit confirm there, kid.
Oh, sorry. I forgot.
I see that.
Yeah.
Now, my number 3 is a game that has already been mentioned here previously. I fucking love this game, and I think it is more fun than another game from its same series that is released more recently. And it is also on this list, so that should be obvious. It's Pokemon Legends Arceus! Hell yes! This is the first open world, although it's more about just huge dumps and being like a true open world game for Pokemon. But it takes place in the not so distant past, couple hundred years in the past, in the Sinnoh region, which is my personal favorite region of the Pokemon games. Gen 4 is my gen. That's my boys. But this game, you have been isekai'd. Arceus has pulled you from modern day into the past. It's like, you need to do a thing. It's like, what do you need to do? It's like, you'll find out. It's like, okay. Alright, Arceus, I'll just figure that out myself. You meet the professor, you get to choose a starter, which evolves a little bit differently than they do in modern day, which is kind of fun. And you're going to different regions. Not different regions, different areas of the map, really. You have to defeat giant not titans. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called in RTS, because I have the Gen 9 terminology in my head now.
Yeah, oh god, I forgot it now too.
Yeah, it's not Totem, it's not Titan. It's something else.
Isn't it
Elders? What?
Isn't it Totem? Totem Pokemon?
No, Totem is Gen 7, Sun and Moon.
Oh.
Get me back in the
I can't remember now.
But you're essentially, like, some of the Pokemon have kind of gone nuts. And they're supposed to be like guardians of the different areas. And you have to beat them up to calm them down, more or less. But as you mentioned, like, there's not really trainer battles in this one, which there really weren't. What trainer battles? There were some trainer battles in the story, and they were actually kind of fucking difficult. I may have lost a few times. But the main point of the game is the exploration, and they do an amazing job with the explanation. I had so much fun. There's also a huge focus on building the first Pokedex, which, as a player who likes to complete the Pokedex in every game, and is always trying to make sure that their living dex is up to date with where the most recent news are, that spoke to me, and I had a lot of fun doing that. 100% of the game, I grabbed every Pokemon, I got all their Pokedex pages up to rank 10, which is what the game considers completing the Pokedex. So you get like a little bonus cutscene. I think it's a little fireworks show even, I don't remember for sure. But I enjoyed it so much. It's the best Pokemon game on Switch. Easily, for me.
Yeah.
You may have missed out on the gems, and to be honest, I like my gems. When Sun and Moon didn't have gems and people were celebrating that, I was just like, but why? Gems are great.
Victory!
I don't mind, breaking convention every now and then, but the main game should have gems in my opinion. But this is a bit different, and it's more an additional bonus.
Not the first team to get rematch.
Fucking fun.
Let's go!
Yeah, just, I had my own issues with it, so that's why I didn't rank as high. And, like, I got that game, I would say, at the beginning of the year. And
yeah, I got it on release. I was just like, give me this game.
and still have not fully beaten it. Or been like, okay, what I consider beaten.
Boo.
I just haven't had the desire to do it. I don't know. I just, like, there's always so many games I'm like, that take its spot. So, it is what it is. Alright, sounds like we're at top 2 time.
Top 2.
Top 2! 222 for 2022! Alright, so for me, my number 1 and number 2, I had a lot of thought. I was having a very difficult time deciding between the two because I love them both very much. And I was having such a difficult time. But taking the number 2 spot for me
It
is...
takes 2.
No, I haven't played that game yet. Cult of the Lamb takes second place for me. I know. I wanted to give it number 1, but I was like, I had to decide, and it just lost out. But it's taking number 2 for me. It is a cutesy game, which is, its own thing. But it's also super dark, which is such a fantastic combo. Dark and cutesy. And I loved it.
It's got good Twitch integration too.
And Twitch integration is amazing. I want more games with Twitch integration. Now, here's why it lost out for me compared to my number 1 game. The Twitch integration. When I played, because I played this game on release, and the reason why it didn't do so great for me was the Twitch integration at the time was not very well done, which isn't necessarily their fault. But it was kind of laggy when I played it. And I binged this game. I played that game for like 3 days straight and then had beaten it. I don't know, it was just kind of fun to have, run your own little messed up cult for different reasons. Just don't get old in my cult and you're fine. But, it was just such a different style of game. Kind of survival, kind of your roguelike.
Yeah, it's roguelike. It's a roguelike sim.
Yeah, and it hit a few of my boxes that I really tend to like. So it was, yeah, I just thought it was dark and neat and cutesy and just loved it. The music was good. Story was, you kind of knew where it was going, but still a neat story nonetheless. Being the last lamb left to slaughter and being like, no, I'm gonna kill you now.
And you're doing all in the service of your god, who you would never betray.
Yeah, never. No, wouldn't do.
He would never betray you.
Correct. Yeah, never. But yeah, so it was just a really fun experience. It's rare to have a game for me where I'm like, God, I wish I took more time with it.
Or, like you mentioned how you don't normally play games that are just on release.
Yep. And that would be one of the reasons why I'm like,
if you hadn't played this game just on release and you just waited like a month,
Yep.
the Twitch integration would have been fun and it may have hit #1.
Yep, and that is honestly accurate. And it's reasons like this that I don't tend to get games.
Why did you get this one released?
I was so excited for it. I'm like, this looks awesome. And then I found out it had Twitch integration, and so I was down for it.
Wow.
Yep. So, Cult of the Lamb takes #2. Highly recommend if you have not given it a shot. I would greatly recommend it. But yeah, so that's my #2 game of the year. Zantok.
Yes.
What takes 2 for 2022?
Red team.
Well, I mentioned how I ran 2 polls for people to force me to play a game this year.
Victory.
The winner of the main poll gets hit #2. And that game is 9 hours, 9 persons, 9
Tacos.
doors.
Oh.
I wish there were tacos. But no tacos in this game, sadly. No, this game is, it starts out with the premise of you have been abducted.
Oh.
And you wake up in a room alone, and there's a puzzle you have to solve, and if you don't solve it fast enough, the water will come into the room and you will drown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Normal
And then,
Saturday night.
Yeah, it's got, the game has a series of escape rooms that you have to solve through to progress through the game, because it's escape room puzzles with visual novel. It's primarily a visual novel game, and it was a fuck ton of fun. But from there, you find out that you have been introduced into something called the Nonary game. And you and 8 other people who all have different bracelets on, with those bracelets having a different number 1 through 9 on them. And you're told, okay, there are going to be some doors. These doors are going to have a number painted on, like, say, #4. And you have to get 3 people whose bracelets would add up to 4. Now, I told you that it's 1 through 9, so how can you have numbers that add up to 4? That doesn't make much sense, now does it? Except, oh wait, it actually does make sense. So it's not exactly 4. Let's say you get 5, 6, and 9. What's 5 plus 6?
11.
What's plus 9?
20.
So now you have 20. So now you take the numbers 2 and 0 and you add them together. What you got there?
2.
So those 3 people could go through the number 2 door together.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Now the whole goal of the game is that you have to find the door with a 9 on it. And if you can do that, then the people who are able to scan the bracelets and get to the 9 door will escape. The 9 door will only open once.
Ooh. So only 3 people escape.
Or unless. The game also is crashing once again.
Yep.
So that's fun. Oh, no, it's back.
Hey.
Oh, you disconnected and it came back. So that's kind of fun. What was the go with this? Oh yeah, the game also has multiple endings. I think there's like 7 endings. And I accidentally did everything correctly to get to the good ending first. So that was kind of funny.
That doesn't happen.
I threw one of my viewers for a loop now, the guy who was really pushing for this game to win the poll. But I said it was the good ending. I didn't say it was the true ending.
Ah.
Now it says I disconnected, so that's
alright.
great. We're going to send you another invite here. But in order to do the true ending, you have to actually go through the good ending first. Because I said this game has multiple endings, but it's also multiple timelines. The whole premise of the game and why you're in the situation that you were in is because of the science experiment that is, hey, when people are in stressful situations, and they have this whole life and death thing going on, they can remember what other versions of themselves have done in other timelines, which has given them information on how to solve puzzles, or what other people have done in other timelines. It was like, oh, you're actually a bad guy. I know this because of alternate me's memories just went into my head.
That's so weird, but yeah.
It's fucking wild. It blew my mind with some of the things to talk about. I recently have started streaming the sequel to the game, Virtue's Last Reward, and it's starting you out not on the first timeline. You're starting out on like timeline 2 or 3, because in the first hour, one of the people that you're with has a memory of you dying in an explosion. It's like, oh okay, oh shit. Shit's on. Let's fucking go. I've only gotten 2 streams of it so far at time of recording, but I am looking forward to more. That will definitely be on next year's list.
Nice. Also, our game does not want to cooperate.
It does not want to cooperate. What if I change character?
I'll actually pick a character. I was doing random, so.
To be fair, this game Multiverses, it's still in open beta.
Well,
like, we're on season 2, but we're in open beta, which is kind of weird to me, but whatever.
Alright. Well.
There is something we have to do. I've been disappointed. I think this is just going to be how the rest of this game goes.
Oh.
Alright. Before we get to our number 1 games, though, we got to go for our honorable mentions. Something what we started doing a couple years ago. And the honorable mentions, I don't know about for you, but for me, I don't necessarily pick the game that would have hit number 11.
Correct.
I just pick another game I want to talk about for whatever reason, and we'll get there. But what is your honorable mention today?
Alright, so there was quite a few games, on my list that, like, I'd played and I was like, no, didn't like that game. Or it just wasn't super great. So, this one was a game I liked, but it just didn't make the cut. But I wanted to talk about, and it is a game we did record, but haven't released yet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Escape Simulator. So for my honorable mention, I'm giving it to Escape Simulator. It's pretty much getting to do escape rooms with, people.
Friends.
Yeah, with friends online. And it can be some interesting scenarios and themes, stuff like that. The one thing I didn't care for it was like you're in a square room, and it was like that's pretty much it. Like,
yeah,
here's everything. Like, I would have liked maybe some variety a little more.
Bigger rooms.
Yeah, bigger rooms, multiple rooms. Like like you can walk into a different room.
Yep. There's a escape room I did with people before. We were all locked into different jail cells, but we could see each other.
Yeah.
And we had to figure out how to get out of our cells first.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And so that would have been nice to have in there. But I mean, I liked it. I still like it. And it kind of, they had 25 rooms, because it was like 5 different themes of 5. But it just seemed super short, and I could have used, I don't know, a bit more. Could have used a bit more, I feel like. I still like it, though. I still would play it again, if we got some people to play and do some maybe like, I think there's
that feels like the kind of game that they could continue to support with DLC if they wanted to.
Yeah, or do the workshop, and I think there is some that have been on the workshop, and that would be kind of fun because I feel like some people could get really creative and do some really good ones. So, that might even beat the game's versions. So, that's going to take my honorable mention, and it was just kind of fun to do and see who, would excel in certain puzzles and, and you realize how useless you are in some others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like it when I was useless.
Yeah, but sometimes, like, certain puzzles, you just, certain rooms, you just, like, the other 2 people are doing really well, and you're just like, I'm don't know what to do here.
Yeah. I feel like it was very rarely where we have a room where all 3 of us felt like we were contributing equally.
Yeah,
it was I feel like we all had moments where we felt useless.
Yeah, but then there was also the moments where you're like, you feel like you are the one who got this puzzle.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah. And then you kind of feel bad though. You're like, oh, but now you guys don't get to solve it,
The only thing I felt bad about was that we only had one camera perspective being recorded.
Yeah.
Which is, we've had that. I mean, any multiplayer game we've had, that's been an issue. And I always wish that we could have a multi recording and that can like be edited together. But that's outside of our capabilities, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, but that's my honorable mention. What is your honorable mention?
So my honorable mention is actually Final Fantasy 14.
Ha!
The expansions.
Ah, cheater.
Because as I said, I already did A Realm Reborn last year, and I kept all the expansions separately at first in my list, so I was trying to nominate different games around. But the problem that I ran into was then there would be 4 games on my top 10 that are all the same game, and that didn't feel right to me. But I also didn't feel right just combining them into one slot and trying to figure out where they would land on the list, because each of them are their own, not necessarily self-contained stories, but they have their own themes and stories that you're going through before you move on to the next expansion. So I decided, I'm just going to throw them all into the honorable mention. Final Fantasy 14 is an amazing RPG, memes aside, because there are a lot of people know about the whole, hey, have you heard the award-winning blah, 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 blah? You know what I mean. But I had a lot of fun with it. I am now caught up with the story, whereas Wayofftrail is a bit behind. I would say if I had to rank each of the expansions in order, it's pretty easily. I'll even include Realm Reborn in this. It's Shadowbringers, Endwalker, a Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, and then it's Stormblood. A lot of people loved Heaven's Word, but honestly, I thought its story was super basic. It's like, oh no, the evil church? Who would have fucking thought? The church is always evil. Come on. How is this? Anyways, it wasn't bad. It was just very, very predictable for that. But I've had a lot of fun with the game. I'm still playing it daily. I'm trying to get every class up to max level because I hate myself and I don't have anything else going on in my life. But yeah, a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to whatever the next expansion will be. Hell, I'm just looking forward to the next patch update. We'll get more main story, which is supposed to be in actually January. So by the time this releases, I won't have much time left. Yay! Excited about that.
And I'll still be behind.
Yeah, you definitely will not be caught up by then. You will hopefully be done with Stormblood by then, though.
I would hope.
I hope.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to being done with that one anyway, so I'd hope I'd be done by that point.
Yeah. Like, last year when I played the game for the first time, I started out as a monk. But then when you and I started playing it this year, I made a brand new character to start out with, and I went Dragoon. But now my new mainly class is Reaper, because holy shit, I feel so powerful as Reaper. But I've also got Summoner, I've got, what's it called? I've got Scholar maxed out, I've got Machinist maxed, and I'm currently working on Gunbreaker for a tank, and I'm also working on your class, Bard.
Ah.
We'll see if I can hit Bard at max strength before you do.
Probably will.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Is it time for
It's
our
time.
top game of the year?
Yes.
All right. Like I said, I had a lot of difficulty between Cult of the Lamb and this particular game, and what should take the ultimate lead. And I decided taking the number. Yeah, multiverse. Haha. My first time playing it, it takes the win.
It didn't even make my top 10.
To be fair, it'll go on my list for next year, but I doubt it will do very well.
Yeah.
I bet it won't even make honorable mention. Anyway, so taking my number 1 spot is a multiplayer game. Weirdly enough, that's not normal for me. I feel like a lot of my in the past have been single player, but it is Grounded.
Oh.
Now, I did play this game, technically, not this year. I played it last year with Skilled Arrow, but it was early access. And I don't count early access for this. So, the game hadn't officially come out yet. And it has changed a lot.
Multiverse wouldn't be old school either.
Yeah, unless I like I would still count multiverses because I don't plan on playing it ever much after that. And I mean, I get the idea. So I made Grounded be #1. I'm currently playing it with Skilled Arrow. It'll eventually go on the channel with the full release. It is a hey, you're all of a sudden you wake up and you and a couple other people, in this case one because of Arrow, are shrunk down to the size of pretty much an ant.
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
Exactly. And that being said, you're like, oh, okay, you're in the backyard, you need to figure out what to do. So, yeah. As you explore, it's a survival game, so you get resources, you figure, you slowly build yourself up, take on areas you're a little too under-leveled for, get your butt kicked, and then be like, alright, need to level up a little bit more for that, and keep in that order. And then, you fight different bugs, and as you finally kill your first of, this bug, then you can get some armor and weapons that'll help you do a little bit better, and do a little bit better. So, I really like the survival aspect of it, and you can do a lot of base building. Which I wasn't sure if I'm usually not a base builder type person, but I like how this one is done, and I like the inventory system in this game. And the story is really good. When the early access happened, there wasn't much of a story because early access.
Of course.
But this time, as we're playing it, you find out, hey, you got shrunk, and now you're trying to figure out obviously how to not be shrunk, and why you got shrunk in the first place, and why you don't remember. And so you start to piece it together, and you go find these labs and fight your way to them and get stuff. And it's just, I'm enjoying it immensely. And I would say me and Arrow maybe halfway through. We're not even fully, it's not even fully done, and it already has taken a lot of my time, and I'm playing it a ton.
I saw you were playing it a bit earlier, actually.
Yeah, we were waiting for you. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, me and somebody else were chatting, I was like, hey, I'll just make some zip lines, because that's our best way to fast travel, but it's something I can do without progressing the story, you know, and it will make it easier for us later. So, yeah, it's got a lot you can do, and a lot of interesting things to fight, while we were playing too, and I was just kind of messing around, I got the ever-loving poop scared out of me as I was just, building some base stuff, or, zip lines, and a spider was behind me, didn't know about it until it made noise, and then it proceeded to kill me, because I was not watching what I was doing. But yeah, so it terrified me a little bit, but it's fun, and I really, really enjoy it, and having a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited to keep playing it.
And you even failed to mention the actual best feature of the game.
The arachnophobia mode?
Arachnophobia mode, which changes what the spiders look like so they won't trigger arachnophobia.
Yep, and they turn into marshmallows.
Yay! I thought it was like tofu.
They look like little blobby marshmallows.
Okay.
From what I've been told. I don't play it with that, though, obviously.
That's a feature that they didn't have to include. Yeah. But for people like me, even though I'm not going to play the game, but for people like me, I greatly appreciate that they did that. Yeah, to be fair, if it would have been me, I would have been like, well, it's a game where you're small and there are spiders. Like, if you have arachnophobia, you're probably not going to play it anyway. But they went out of their way to be like, you know what, we'll at least make it an option. So if you don't like spiders, hey, here's a solution that, you might still want to play our game. And honestly, I wouldn't have even batted an eye if they wouldn't have done that. But the fact I
that
don't think anybody would have.
No,
honestly.
And the fact that they did is just awesome.
Yeah. I had to wonder how much, because I had to see what the model looks like in the arachnophobia. I wonder how similar it is to just early development when they don't have the full model for the creatures created yet. So for something like that, they would just create all right, here's a squares and some sticks to show you the general shape and size. Yeah. How close is this marshmallow spider looking to their
I do think
alpha
that
version model?
Yeah,
wonder.
I do think that is a lot of it. I do think it has a lot this is the
easy to develop.
Yeah, because why would you do much more than that? So But yeah, so that is my number one game of the year, which means, Zantok, we're on to the last thing, which is your number one game of the year.
We are. And it's a big one.
Oh boy.
This game is big.
Well,
It
I
has
mean,
been
Grounded was pretty
long
big.
Waited by Nintendo fans, and by Monolith Soft fans, and by Xenoblade fans.
Choose your character.
Because it's Xenoblade Chronicles for free.
Are you trying to test me, man?
Ooh.
My god, this fucking company likes to make you feel for characters and then rip your goddamn heart out. These fucking rat bastards. I hate them so much. Because I want to say much, because I don't know if somebody watching this hasn't gotten to the game yet. In fact, Jono has still not gotten to the game yet. It's like, dude, please get through the game so we can talk about it. Both, just talk about the game and also fucking for a podcast episode. But it's a sequel. Xenoblade 1 and 2 take place in different worlds, but also they're in parallel worlds. So the world before Xenoblade 1 and 2 got split. Weird sciencey. A scientist fucked up, basically. Xenoblade 3, however, is a sequel to both. The worlds have been merged, and it's causing problems. So you have half your cast is reminiscent of characters from the first game, like different species in that game, and the other half of the cast is, species and characters type things from the second game. And they're trying to figure out why the world is how it is and how to fix it. I was being very generous with how I talk about things. But also early on, you get an ability called Ouroboros, which lets you fuse with one of the party members on the opposite side of how do I put this? The worlds and characters of 1 and 2 are at war in this new world. So you fuse with one of the characters from the opposite side of the war into this gigantic alien mecha-like thing. And now you're fighting with that for a short time. The story is nuts. The world is kind of crazy. You'll see parts of the map in the first couple games, and it's just like twisted and different. It's like, my god, what happened to cause all this? I want to say more, but it's hard to avoid spoiler territory, and it sucks having to avoid spoiler territory.
Mm-hmm.
But we know we're going to get a DLC campaign at some point. The second game had a DLC campaign, and we're all just like, what is it going to be like? I gotta know, are we going to get story? Because the hard thing is that based on the way the game works is that having DLC that takes place after the game or even before the game, either or would feel weird, but also heavily wanted. So I don't know what they'll do. But fucking Monolith Soft, they bastards, they did it again. I hate them. But god, is it a good game.
Nice. Well, it seems like our game we're playing doesn't want to cooperate anymore anyway.
Yeah. No, also, if I hadn't merged Final Fantasy 14 into the honorable mention, it was going to be this game.
Ah.
This is going to be my honorable mention.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Who knows? Maybe it'll make something on my list for next year. That means I'm hoping not, because that means I played some crap games in 2023.
I mean, it could be your honorable mention of the best of the crap.
I hope not. All right.
Oof.
Yeah, oof. All right, ladies and gents. Well, that's going to do it for us. We hope you enjoyed. As always, hey, leave your top 10 games that you played down in the comments. We would love to know. And it's fun to kind of think about, or maybe, if you can't remember your top 10, hey, what was your favorite game you played this last year?
Yeah.
Or top 3, whatever. As many as you can.
Or tell us why we're wrong for having games lower than we did.
Yeah, like why I had Arceus at 7 when it should have been at 1. Whatever.
Yeah, bitch.
It wouldn't have been at 1. But, let us know your thoughts on some of these games, or some of these specific games that, you're like, oh, I would have probably put, Little Dragon Cafe higher. Whatever, whatever you like.
Hi, Jamer.
Yeah, right? But, yeah, so I guess until next time, that's going to do it for us. And we will see you all later. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
play more games.